So welcome to today's show. This is TVC 22's Cats About Town. I'm here in the city of Clarence, Rockland, with Mary Bachat, who is the owner of Moonlight Medium shop, next to the Royal LePage shop that you'll probably all recognize. For those of you who are watching online, you may not know where the city of Clarence, Rockland is. This is a relatively small, unpretentious city in eastern Ontario, a city of about 23,000 people, stretching over about 300 square kilometers. We have an unusual city of mostly forests and fields and rivers and farms, yet it's still a city, Rockland being the largest urban center in this place. As in all places, there's what we see and what we don't see. And Mary is someone with whom it's very easy to connect about the things that we don't see, which people are always wondering about. So, Mary, thank you so much for agreeing to this interview.
Oh, no, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad. Well, it's certainly comfortable in your shop. It's a beautiful place. I've taken some pictures of it. They're going to show on the camera. And we're going to have the opportunity to talk about things that, like I said, are not so obvious. So tell me first a little bit about yourself. I have to say, by way of introduction, that when I first saw your shop and I saw the Eye of Isis and the sign about a medium, I was a little bit skeptical, but I was really irresistibly drawn to come in here. And once I did and started talking to you, I started to relax, because there's something about the atmosphere in here that's very unpretentious, very, very comfortable, very real. And I thought, I've really got to find out more about this place and about this woman. And I've been in here about 3 times, and we've talked about everything from electronic cigarettes to crystals to incense to fashion to makeup, and absolutely nothing has disappointed me. You are you.
Oh,
you
thank
are
you.
legit.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I would say that this beautiful little shop is a little bit like one of those speakeasies in Chicago or New York. You walk into this little shop, and then maybe you walk through an armoire, or you walk behind the curtains, and that's where the real action is.
Yes, 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 yes.
You've done that here.
I'm trying to bring us a special energy, if I may say so. And Katalin, today I'm sitting here in my own shop and I'm looking around, and it's a miracle. It is a miracle, because if I tell you that I found the location in 3 days, and the store was open and up and running in 3 weeks, I didn't know where to find the suppliers. I didn't know how I'm going to do it financially, everything like that. And the reason I look into do something, because I lost my job. I'm one of the people that did lose their job in 2012 with the federal government.
Okay.
So when you are advanced in your 50s, it's like, I don't want to go work again and start from the bottom. I already been there. I already done that. I always had 2 jobs. I always had my Monday to Friday, the jobs that pay the bills and, take care of. I'm like everybody else. I'm human. And my readings, that was my passion. Mm-hmm. So I always did reading in the evenings, on weekends. So I always worked 2 jobs, and I always worked 7 days a week. So this is actually the first time in my life that I'm working 1 job, and I'm here, and it's mine, kind of thing. So that on its own, it's a big achievement, if you want. But I truly believe that my angels and my guides had brought me here for a reason. Since I opened the store...
When you say here, you mean to Rockland?
To Rockland, or to open the store in general, because I was debating between Rockland and Orleans. Mm-hmm. And
Were you local? Did you live locally?
I did. Well, we opened that. We were living in Clarence Creek.
Okay.
So, I mean, Rockland is the area to come and go. You do your shopping, you know, because it's the big town next to Orleans, and it's closer than driving all the way to Orleans. So, I was debating Rockland, Orleans. Then my partner, because I do have a silent partner, which is also, she's my partner in life, she said, don't go to Orleans. I said, why? Orleans, you know, there's a lot of movement in Orleans. She said, no, we're going to stay in Rockland. Then I said, okay. So I kind of took it and slept on it, like I say, sleep on it. And the next day when I woke up, I said, you're right.
It feels right.
It feels right. It has to be in Rockland.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say something. When your angels and your guides, one manifests something to you, one is due to you, nothing can stop it.
No.
That's what I try to make people understand. Is like, you can ask anything you want because you will get what you ask for if it's good for you. Your guides, your angels, they are always in tune with you. If you let them in your life, you're always gonna end up on the right track. So I write to my guides. I actually write letters to my guides, and I have given this to many of my
In which
clients.
language do you write to them?
I write to them in English. My Arabic is not that great. I left Egypt when I was 13, so I lost a lot of my writing and reading. I still can write a little bit, and I still can read a little bit. I speak it fluently, but the problem is I cannot write like I used to write.
No.
So I usually write in English because I speak 3 languages. French is a little bit, I speak French very...
You speak French fluently?
Yes,
beautifully.
I do.
Oh,
it's just the
completely.
grammar and everything like that. So for me, English is easy to write. So I do write my guides in English, but it doesn't matter. You can just put symbols. They will understand. It's not the language, it's the energy that you're giving out there. And I did write to my guides, and I said, what do I do? Do I open the business? How I'm going to do this? How I'm going to do that? And in 3 days, randomly, and I never look in the newspaper. I don't like to read newspaper. I don't like to hear the news because it's just too much negativity. And for that particular weekend, we were going to go to Montreal, but my wife got sick, so we had to stay home. So I'm sitting on a Friday night flipping through the Vision, and I opened the Vision the other way, not from left to right, but like if I was to
From
read
the back.
an Arabic newspaper, from right to left. And all of a sudden, here's this ad, and it says 782 square feet in the Royal Plaza for rent. Whatever it was the 7 and the 8 and the 2 that got me there. So I called and I made an appointment, and we were looking around, and we did appointment other places. And as we're driving to come here, I told Lou, which is my wife, I said, definitely I need to have red in the store. Because red, the color red, it represents your base chakra. And your base chakra is your chakra where it grounds you. It's your vitality, it's your energy, it's your finances, all of that. And I said red is very important to whoever's going to walk into the store, they will all be grounded. So I have reasoning to my madness sometimes, right? So we came here, and I walked not even 10 feet. All these overheads, they were red, different red, but they were red. Yeah, but they were here already. I walked in here, and I stopped, and I said, that's it. It's here. She said, what do you mean? I said, this is where we're going to open the store. No. We have to look at the rest of the stores. And I said, I'll do that just to make you happy, but I know this is going to be it. And here I am.
And here you are.
Yeah, I'm going to celebrate 2 years, me first.
I'm really happy that you're here.
Thank you.
I'm really happy that you're here because I like what this shop represents. I like what you have brought to this shop. And I particularly like this region. And this region needs something like this shop and someone like you to awaken a part of it that I think has been lying dormant for a very long time. We'll get back to that a little bit later.
All right.
You're here in Clarence Creek. I'm not going to go into all the many steps that led you there, but I am somewhat curious about you having come here from Egypt. You said you were 13, but you already knew about your gift.
Oh, yeah.
From a much younger age.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever feel uncomfortable about it?
I'm not going to say uncomfortable. I'm going to say different. I always felt like I wasn't like everybody else. Even as I was a child, and I never understood why I felt like I was different. As I get older and, you know, and become mature and adult, and then I came to the understanding why I felt like that when I was a child. And I had nobody to talk to. I think that's the hardest thing, is having this gift and kind of not understand what you see, what you feel, and why. And my mom, she was very, I don't want to say she was skeptical. It was her fear, mostly, because she did have the gift too, you know. And even my grandmother and my great-grandmother. So this is something that has been generation to generation. But my mom, because of her fear, she really didn't want to open that door. And when I used to go and talk with her, she always said, "You're just a child. It's just a dream. So you must have dreamt that. So just go play," kind of thing. And anything I said, "Oh, it's in my head. It's a dream." But it wasn't, because few things had happened when I was younger, and it manifested itself so quickly that I did understand that what I see, there is an impact. It manifests itself.
Did you at any point feel that you were making things happen?
Not me as per se, but like I said, I couldn't understand what's the connection that I had as a child.
Okay.
And actually, when I was 6 years old, when I went to the pyramid, the big pyramid, something happened, and I don't know exactly what it is, but as I entered the big pyramid and we were walking up to the chamber of the king, I froze for whatever reason. But I don't remember anything. The only thing I remember that I was sitting outside with my teacher on a big rock, and she kept on telling me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" So when I looked at her, I said, and I looked around and I realized that I wasn't inside the pyramid, that I was outside the pyramid. I lost a part of where I was and where did I. So she said to me, "You didn't move. You stopped right in the middle, and nobody could advance, because the stairs to go up to the chamber inside the big pyramid, it's not large. It's very, very small. So I stopped everybody from progressing to go to the visit. So she had to come grab me and bring me outside and to see what's wrong. I don't know how she did it, but she did it, and that's what she said to me. Until today, I understand why today, because when I was a child, I didn't know. But I did my research after, and anybody that does have a gift or a connection to the higher energy or to
the spirit world.
To the spirit world, they actually feel this when they enter the big pyramid. So it
Where
makes
it's very
sense.
strong. Well, the big pyramid, for those who may not know, is in Egypt.
Yes.
And
In Cairo.
Egypt has, in Cairo.
Yeah.
And it has, because there are pyramids all around the world.
Yes.
In different parts of the world, not
Yes.
all around the world. And I believe they're all aligned in a certain way. That's another story.
Oh, yes.
But the pyramid in Egypt, well, Egypt itself is a country where there's been is an area, I should say, because it's not always been a country. It's had a long tradition of making the bridge between the spirit world and the material world.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
people who are born there, you can assume that many of them need to bring that to our consciousness.
Absolutely. And Egypt is very, very old. Like, I had the chance to go back after 40 years, and the energy is just incredible. It's so old. And I remember when I went back in 2010, and we were in Luxor, and we were visiting one of Ramses' tomb. And here we are, and you have to go deep into the ground where the tomb is. And me and my sister, and she was just around taking a picture of one of the tomb. And as I'm entering the tomb, believe it or not, at the corner, I saw the guard that guards that tomb, but it's not physically. It's the spirit of the guard is still there guarding that. And as my sister snapping the photo, I told her, I said, do you see what I see? And she said, what do you see? So I told her, let's get out of here. So we did. But later on, as we're flipping through the picture, in that particular tomb, as she's taking the picture of that chamber, there was a big orb like this. That was the presence. That was just a confirmation to say, yes, you did see me, and I was there.
Yes.
So, yeah. Because people
and
now...
I'm not afraid to say so.
That's right. So I knew that, yes, I got a confirmation that, yes, I did see something there too. And actually, when I went to Holland too, as we were walking down the streets, there's a lot of wars had happened and a lot of celebration. So as we're walking, every street that I was walking on, I can tell you, they were celebrating here. There's people were killed here. The thing that really...
Could you see spirits?
I see them with no eyes.
No. Okay.
I hear them with no ears. And I smell them with no nose. Because basically it's one energy to another. So we have the physical, which we have the body, which this is part of the physical world that we live in. But your spirit, your soul, it comes from somewhere, and it will go where it came from eventually after we finish here. So people put so much importance on the body, and they ignore what makes this body move.
Le GF Show, c'est quoi?
Bienvenue au GF Show, c'est un tout nouveau TV show, on va dire. Ah ouais, vas-y, let's go! Je sais pas si vous allez me trouver pas. Bienvenue tout le monde au GF Show, c'est un tout nouveau TV show. Vous allez voir que je suis pas que numéro. On va avoir du fun, oh ouais, go! Bienvenue tout le monde.
Le GF Show, c'est de l'humour, c'est de l'entertainment, du divertissement, des sketchs, des parodies, des conneries, des observations, des chroniques et j'en passe. Le GF Show, c'est tout! C'est n'importe quoi! C'est pour vous autres, c'est à TVC22 que c'est là. Ne le manquez pas!
Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue au GF Show.
Cats About Town is a show of public interests about people living and working in Clarence, Rockland. Hosted by Katalin, she talks and interviews local guests about their jobs and their ways of life. Katalin talks about her fascination for Aboriginal people, the community, the evolution of our great city, and shares her perspective and thoughts about life. Don't miss Cats About Town on TVC22 or on the internet at www.tvc22.ca.
I'd like to get back to you with that in a minute, but first I want to, before we go any further, I know that what you're referring to is something that many people have heard about, but many people are skeptical about. Perhaps as a defense, perhaps because they've had bad experiences. In your life, I am sure that you've come across mediums who claim to be but are not, or who use it for improperly. So how does the average person know if a medium is someone they can trust, if they don't have the gift?
The validation. Usually when a spirit tries to communicate with us, they will give signs. Sometimes they're very huge, sometimes they're very small. Sometimes they could be very insignificant to the medium as you see. I can give you an example. I mean, I do readings, and I have done a lot of readings in my life. But example, I remember that reading a few years ago, and the reason I know is this woman came from somebody that it's very close to me. And after I finished the reading, she said, well, I know so-and-so, so I know she was Kim recommended. And that's why her reading had stayed with me a little bit. And she has just lost her husband, and he was young. I think he was in his early 50s. And as I'm doing the reading, and this is how you can know if it's a good medium or not, he was showing me the cruise, a ship, okay, a big ship. And he gave me the feeling that he wasn't supposed to be on that ship. Neither did his wife at the time, because they were not married at the time, and this is how they met.
Oh.
So she wasn't supposed to be on that ship. He wasn't supposed to be on that ship, but they ended up taking that trip, and this is how they actually met, and they got married, and they were together until really he passed away. So when I give her that message, how would I know such a thing?
Absolutely.
I can't.
Convinces me.
It's, you know, and I can give you many, many, many another example, and this is another lady, and her husband had passed away, and she wanted to communicate with her husband. So she comes in, and sometimes I'm skeptical about what I see, because is it really this what they want to show me? And I remember doing her reading, and her husband, when I say I see him, I don't see him with these eyes. I see him with my third eye, really. He's standing there, and he has a big lemon in his hand. And he's turning the lemon, and he's laughing. And in my head, I said, Mary, you're going crazy. It's like, lemon? Really? What's this? And he's not going away, and I'm not going any further with my messages. He just stopped right there. So I said, okay. So I looked at the lady, and I said, please don't laugh about what I'm going to tell you, but I have to tell you because I'm not going anywhere. I said, your husband he has a lemon in his hands, and he's laughing. Well, let me tell you, you should have been present with me at the time. She started to laugh, and she said, from his grave, he's still asking for the lemon pie.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
How would I know if he didn't show me that? And food, for whatever reason, food comes a lot with spirits. Because, that's what they made me understand. Because if you look in any family, any culture, doesn't matter where you come from, everybody gather around the table. Everybody gather around food.
Yeah.
Everybody. I'm from Egypt. It's in Africa. We gather around food. We're here in North America and Canada. When we gather around food. If you go to anybody, the first thing that people will gather is in the kitchen or around the table. So it always has to do with food. So the food comes up a lot.
It's not only if you're a person. If you're a farmer and you have animals, if you are like me and you have 9 dogs, you know how important food is, because that is how you got them.
Exactly.
That's what brings everyone together.
Yeah, and I can give you other example. Another one, these things don't go away because they're so funny, and I can't forget them because they are funny.
I love that
Another
story.
one, she came, I don't know if it was her grandmother or her mother, and all I can see is this big tomato sandwich. It's like, really? So I looked at her and I said, I might be losing it here, but I said, what's the tomato sandwich has to do with that person? And she started to cry at this point. She said, this is exactly what I had for lunch before I come here.
Oh.
So
He's watching her, or whoever was watching
either the
her.
mother or the grandmother, I can't remember who came through for that lady, but when she told me that, I said, well, they are next to you. If this is what you had for lunch, that means they're always around you. That means you're never alone. And we are never alone, actually. Even when we are totally alone in one room, or if you are alone in a house, you're still not alone.
And that's such an important thing for people to realize.
Yes.
Because there are so many things that ail us because we feel alone, and we feel different, and we feel isolated. So now that we've established your legitimacy,
Thank you.
I would like to get back to how you can use this gift. Yes, you can put people in touch with their loved ones or their guides or angels to reassure them that they are there. But I believe, well, I would say Mark Twain said it best. Mark Twain said, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why.
Absolutely.
We have a purpose.
Absolutely.
So many of us don't know to the day we die.
I know.
That's where our spirit, our connection with our spirit comes in.
Absolutely.
I believe that our bodies, and in many traditions, our bodies are our temple. And our spirit is where our temple is where the spirit is housed in our temple.
Yes.
The spirit is God, it's the great creator, it's whoever you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. It is what guides us. You sense that, you feel that.
Oh yeah.
And we all do,
Of
if
course.
we don't block it.
Yeah.
If we can connect, then we can know what our purpose is and our life has meaning.
Absolutely.
Can you help somebody who
I
comes
do.
to you?
I
You
do. I do. I absolutely. I want to find a good example. I have a candle that is lit. Okay. With this candle, whoever is willing to light their candle, they can always come and grab the light from my candle. And this is basically what I do with people. People that are willing, people that are really wanna see a change in their lives, and they come openly and they're ready to do the changes. All they have to do is just carry the light from the light that I'm carrying. And actually they do. Because fear, expectation, these are two things that humans set themselves up all the time. All the time. If I do something for you, if you come to me and said, Mary, I need this and I need that and whatever, and I have decided to help you, I should be able to give you this with no expectation. Because if I'm giving you or I'm helping you, but I'm waiting and expecting you to give me something back, I'm setting myself for hurt, pain, and failure. But if I do or give with no expectation, then I'm not going to be hurt and I'm not setting myself for failure. I help you and God be with you. Go. But things always, you heard of karma? Wow! Karma is very strong.
You must never lose sight of it.
Exactly. So if people can understand that don't set yourself up for anything, and if you're open to change your life, and if you're open to really receive the energy that you already have to start with, because your spirit comes from somewhere. We just not happen to be, we're human. Yeah, but your body needs something to move, because everybody, I'm sure, at one point or another had seen a cadaver or seen a dead person. That person usually, close to you, and you know that person. So when the spirit leaves that body, as you're touching that body is so stiff. There's nothing to it. It's like all of a sudden you unplug the electricity. And that's exactly what your soul is. So your soul has to come, your spirit has to come from somewhere. And wherever your spirit is coming from, it has to go back. When we talk about eternal life, yes, we do have eternal life, but not here. This is just a facade. This is just the vacation that we come, because when we are a spirit, we don't need to eat, we don't need to drink, we don't need to sleep, we're just energy, we're just floating. So when we decide to come to earth, because we do come to earth many, many, many times, we do decide to come because we want to taste the food, we want to feel touched, we want to be loved, we want to feel everything. But with this, there's also other things. As there's positive, as there's negative. So people that they decided to change their life and they come to me, I explain to them, first of all, you're never alone. Because as your spirit prepare itself to come to the material world, you bring your guides with you. You bring these energy to help you through. These are probably some of them you know and some of them you don't. I know for a fact that I have 2 guides. They've never been in a human body. It's just the fact that when I communicate with these guides, they're pure light. They don't even have legs. They have just a torso. It's just the outline of the torso of the body, but there's no legs, and they're pure light. So for either they're very high on the other side, or they never had put a foot on earth, and they're still their energy is pure. And one of them is my gatekeeper. We all have a gatekeeper. And the gatekeeper is actually one of your guys that will help you if you want to know something. But he's not going to open the gates for you if it's not due for you. And that's what I try to tell people. You're never alone, and you always have help. And the help is not necessarily in the physical, material world. Because when we're born, we have our guides, we have our angels, right? And if you look at babies, they're always smiling. They're smiling, they're making faces because they're surrounded by the angel. They're surrounded by their loved ones that they have crossed over, and they have their own guides that are they're protecting them.
They're still in touch.
But, yeah, and they're there. They're there. But if you ignore all of that and you block this energy, it's like closing the door. It's like somebody come knocking on your door, they want to visit, and you keep slamming that door. Well, they're never going to come in. But if you open the door...
But they'll wait because they're patient.
They are. They come with you. And they will be there.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. And I tell people it's never too late. For anybody that had taken my suggestion to them and they start working with their guides, it's phenomenal, Katalin, the difference in their lives. So I know that I've been guided to open here to pass on all my knowledge. And I don't keep anything. Whatever I know, I'm not afraid to share it.
So I've noticed. You're very open, you're very approachable, and there's nothing about you that intimidates. So that adds, in my eyes, to your legitimacy. Because when you... I mean, the truth is the truth. And if we realize that what we have, the best of us is a gift lent to us, then there's no need for arrogance and secrecy and ownership and trying to make money off of it and all of those things.
And you know what? I always say there's nothing wrong with making money. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's another pleasure of life. The thing that is really wrong is to be greedy and not to share. And I tell people that. Greed and keeping everything for yourself is not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
And right now we have a so unbalanced world right now. It's not. And that's why all the changes are happening. Because the world as we know it is coming to an end. It doesn't mean that everything's going to be flat. That's not it. People think the end of the world is, bam, the sky is going to tumble on earth and everything is going to be done. No. It's not going to happen like that. And it's actually happening if we are in tune with Mother Nature. Mother Nature is talking to us. All the change of weathers, all the insects, all the different species.
A lot of chaos.
That some they're disappearing, other they're coming. These are all signs that we're moving, we're getting away from this dimension. And we are entering a new dimension that will be coming.
Yes.
And religion as we know it is all going to be changing, and that's why people are turning into more spirituality. Listen, the church, the temple, the mosques, and I'm talking about the big three religion, which is the Jews, the Christian, and the Muslim, and in these order they came to earth. But in all these religions, there's one thing in common: love each other. That's all there is. Anything else, and help each other. And that's why we are here. You are my sister. We don't have to be from the same parents or the same blood. But we are sisters. Why? Because your energy in your body is the same energy in my body. So how can we not be sisters? How can I hurt you? If I hurt you, it's like hurting myself. How can I wish any bad?
How many people don't realize that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring to people.
Yeah.
And God help me, or the divine energy, or the creator, or whatever you want to call this higher power. Give it the name you like, but it is the divine energy, because we are part of that divine energy. And believe it or not, we are creator, just like the creator that had given us that gift.
We are co-creators. We are co-creators, and we are also at the halfway point, so we have to break. Our station break, and we will be right back. I'd like to get back to you with that in a minute, but first I want to, before we go any further, I know that
Il m'en manque un, moi, avec, là.
Non, c'est moi qui l'ai.
Ah non.
Oh, 71. Oh, 71.
Hey, si tu jouerais, ça irait bien mieux.
Je sais pas compter. I30.
Bingo! 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 Bingo!
C'est bon.
Le TV Bingo, en direct du studio TVC22, tous les dimanches, 19h15 sur TVC22 ou sur Internet au www.tvc22.ca. Cats About Town is a show of public interests about people living and working in Clarence, Rockland. Hosted by Katalin. She talks and interviews local guests about their jobs and their ways of life. Katalin talks about her fascination for Aboriginal people, the community, the evolution of our great city, and shares her perspective and thoughts about life. Don't miss Cats About Town on TVC22 or on the internet at www.tvc22.ca. Pour des entrevues avec des gens d'ici, faites par un homme d'ici, ne manquez pas Informez-vous avec Jacques, qui couvre tout ce qui se passe dans la région de Clarence, Rockland. Jacques Tessier anime et se rend sur place pour assembler entrevues et discussions sur les organisations et les événements qui se déroulent durant l'année. Jacques s'intéresse à vous et est là pour vous informer de ce qui se passe chez vous. Informez-vous avec Jacques à TVC22 ou sur Internet à www.tvc22.ca. La paroisse Très Sainte Trinité est heureuse de vous accueillir à la messe dominicale du dimanche à l'église Très Sainte Trinité de Rockland. Avec l'abbé Albert, vivez avec nous dans le confort de votre maison la célébration du Seigneur avec lecture, évangile, chant, Eucharistie et bénédiction. La messe dominicale à l'église Très Sainte Trinité à TVC22 ou encore sur Internet à www.tvc22.ca.
And when I woke up from my meditation, it was like I was baffled. It's like, really? The Archangel Gabriel? And that's who he was with me. And that's why I communicate so well, because he's the Archangel of communication.
there you go.
And he told me, and he showed me, and that I'm going to be talking to tons and tons of people.
Mm-hmm.
Then the week after is the Archangel Michael, and Michael is the protector. So they told me, you're going to communicate, but we're going to make sure that you're protected. So I just go.
So you don't have to do any protection ceremony before your day of work or before a reading? You
I
do.
do. I
Anyhow.
always do.
Yes.
I always do. But just to go out there, because I think what the Archangel Gabriel is telling me is like, put it out there. Tell people what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is there, just put it out. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
It's almost as if, because of who's guiding you, you have the ability to tell people what they need to hear. Even when you're not doing a reading.
Exactly.
You're sitting here and you're talking to me and everything you're saying, I'm thinking, yes, exactly. I know that. I agree with that. It's so good to hear it.
When we ask for guidance, we're never going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And if we trust the gut feeling,
Mm-hmm.
which everybody has a gut feeling,
Yeah.
and actually your higher self, it's right here in your gut feeling. And your higher self is always in communication with the divine energy, because your soul comes from the divine energy. So anything we want to know, and this has happened to everybody. Like I tell people, I said, don't you say to your friend, listen to your gut feeling before you do anything? We say it to each other, don't we? I said, do you know why we say that? And people say, good question. Why? I said, because your 13 guide, which is your higher self, which is your spirit, connects with the divine energy. So when the divine energy want to give you a message, if it's positive, you're going to feel it right in your gut, and it's going to be so exciting. And it's like, wow, something good is going to happen. I know it. I feel it. That's because the communication is there.
You know, Mary, I've done a lot of reading. Maybe it's to compensate for the fact that I don't have the natural gift of receiving messages. But these days, there's so much that's been written because everything is opening up. There's no more secrecy. There's no more well, there are cliques and clans everywhere. But one of the things that have opened up is in the Kabbalah. The Zohar has recently been put into print. It was a very secret, only for an exclusive few, but now it's available to everybody.
You're talking about the Kabbalah?
Yes.
Look at that. What is it?
Oh, there you go.
Becoming like God, Kabbalah.
exactly.
I read that. That's my
exactly,
book.
yes. we have that book too.
You see.
And these books, just so you know, are available here for borrowing, and there are many books that are for sale, but there are several books that you can come here and read in this beautiful
Oh
environment.
yeah, and people can take them home and they can
take
bring
them
them back, and it's free of charge. A lot of these books I read myself. So, like I said before, my knowledge, everything I know. If it's going to be useful to people or not, take what you need and let go what you don't need.
So what can people do? What can people do on their own to facilitate their openness, their awakening, their awareness?
I find meditation, it opens a lot of doors. And when I say meditation, we need a quiet time, either in the morning or at night, or both. Just to sit, no TV, no radio, no music. Sit with yourself. You're gonna hear, believe me, you're gonna hear. If you had asked for something and you don't know what to do about it, find this 5 minutes, connect yourself to the divine energy, connect yourself to your angel, connect yourself to your guides. Bring them to you, ask them to be part of your life or your daily life. You'd be so surprised how things will be less difficult, less a hardship. Even if you are going through a hardship, you're gonna say, well, I'm going through this because I'm supposed to be somewhere, and this is gonna bring me to where I'm supposed to be. Unfortunately, today's society, we don't like ourselves. We don't want to be with ourselves. If they're not on their texting, they're on the cell phone. If they're not on the cell phone, they're on the iPad. If not, like, there's so many gadgets that people are just drowning themselves in there, because it's like an ostriches. They're putting their head in the sand, but they're not realizing that we can see their whole body. So you're putting your hand in the sand for what? To avoid what you really need to do is really be in touch within, because all our answers are there. Everything we need to know, they're there.
So for instance, our answers are there. Our answers are around us. Our angels are around us. Let's get back to the region of Clarence Rockland.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about this, and you had but you already answered it when you were told me about the Great Pyramid. There are spirits around us. This is a region that was originally populated by Aboriginal people. Then came the pioneers. It was settled by the pioneers, and then came visionaries, and then today there are more people coming. There are also the descendants of those original pioneers. So all around us are some very old souls.
Oh yeah.
Who would like to guide us because they love this region. That's why they settled it.
Yeah.
Do you do readings like that? Do you help people?
I do house
Can
calls.
you? You do house calls?
Yes.
Okay.
And since I've been open, I could say I did about a dozen houses so far.
In 2 years, then? Almost 2 years, not quite.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm celebrating my 2 years, so
Okay.
it's in the past almost 2 years that I done some here in Rockland. I have gone to Alfred, to Bourget. I find this area, there's a lot of activities. There's a lot of activities.
What do you mean by activity?
Activity, that means there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of soul that walks this ground.
Okay.
A lot of, and not all the souls, they're earthbound. I don't see the earthbound. I'm one of the people that don't see them, and when I do see them, it doesn't last long because my light is so strong for them that they cannot come near the light. And most of the earthbound spirits, they either spirit that they haven't accepted their death, or they have died in an accident and their spirit is lost. Some of them, they're so attached to their material, to their house, to their cars, to the stuff, to the material world, that they're refusing to leave Earth. These, I don't really touch that part of the spirits. The spirits that I see, they're mostly full of light, full, like they had crossed over, and they are actually in the divine, if you want to call it heaven, they're in a divine energy, because they're usually, the feeling, when you feel spirits, if you feel the earthbound and you feel the light, is totally different. It's totally different. And here, there is both, but there's a lot of spirit that just come and visit. And so far, all the houses I did, actually the spirits that were there, they either to warn the owners of the house or where they live for something that either, example, I'm not mentioning any names, so you don't know.
No.
I did a house, I'm not even going to say where, but I did a house, and the parents, they were afraid for the children because the spirits were angry. The spirits were slamming doors, cupboards, and everything else, and they had to leave the house, and they only come back when I give them the time and date that I'm going to come and cleanse the house. And as I walk into the house, I didn't feel that there was negative energy. I felt that, yes, there is presence for sure. And as a matter of fact, there were two men in that house. One was the father, and the other one was the grandfather. And they're both in the light. But they were angry because some friends, families, I don't know exactly who they were, they used to come to the house and used to abuse the children. And the parents had no idea. So the grandparents, the two grandfather, or the two father, I know they were father figure, they were actually trying to get the parents' attention to let them know that you have to stop that person to come into your life because they're really abusing the children. And as I'm giving that message, because every time I do a house cleansing, there's messages comes up. So as I'm giving this message to the parents, the mom said, "You're absolutely right. This only started since that person started coming." Another house I did, first of all, there was a little dog, which the spirit of animal does accompany us too, right?
Yeah.
So there was a little dog, but there was a man. I think he was a farmer. Then I said, the house looks relatively new. So I looked at the owner and I said, what was here before? She said, I really am not sure. I said, but this house you just built? She says, yeah, it's new built. We're the first one walked, like a new built. I said, well, there's a man here, but he doesn't want to disturb anybody. I said, but he's here to make sure that everybody's okay in this house because he used to have his house here. I'm going to give you even a better story. I used to live in Clarence Creek before I moved. And we bought this house in Clarence Creek in 2010. And when we move in at night, in the middle of the night, the whole house will shake. I will hear boom, and the house will shake. And I will wake up in the middle of the night. I walk around. There's nothing. Don't see anything inside the house. I did the tour of the house to make sure there's no spirit lives in this house. And I always do that every time I move somewhere. So I couldn't understand. I couldn't find it. One of my friends, she's another medium. She gave me a call. She said, Mary, there's something bad in your backyard. I said, oh, so the noise is coming from the backyard. I never thought to go outside the house. I'm always looking inside the house. She said, I don't know what it is. She said, but it has black spots all over it. And she said, don't tell Lou because she's going to freak out. Luke is my wife. So I said, okay. So I said, well, how can I do this? And she couldn't tell me what it was. So I went home early, and I sat on the deck outside, and I started meditating because I wanted to know what's in my backyard. And this area in Clarence Creek, it was a very sacred area that all the native used to do full moon ceremonies, especially where my house is, okay? So they used to do full moon ceremonies. They used to hunt. I know that they used to do some ceremonies because I seen it as I was doing the house. But also they used to hunt. So what happened is, there was a moose. A moose was stuck in the backyard because they built a house, and after the house was the big swimming pool, then it was a gazebo. So the moose was lost, didn't know how to get out of that area, so it was banging against the wall. So when I saw that, I actually guided that moose into, because behind the house there's fields. So I just guided that moves all the way to the field, and after that I never heard the bang ever again.
That confuses me, how something from the spirit world, that's in spirit form, in energy form, in light form, can be constrained by our
But this
material.
is an animal. Animal energy is not the same as human energy either.
Okay.
And probably because maybe she was, and I saw when I did the cleansing of my house, I saw the bloodshed, but I wasn't too concerned about that, but I knew something had shed blood on the ground of where the house was built.
To some people this would be very frightening, but you say there's no reason to be frightened about that.
No, because it's just she didn't know which way to go back to where she came from. Probably she was visiting. They all visit. All the spirit, they're in and out the world very easily because they can. Not all, some of them. Depends where they are on the other side too. Because every time we come here and we cross over, we actually gain a higher level or a higher conscientious, if you want, as we cross over.
Tell me about your team.
I have great people that actually work with me, and that's another thing. Ask, you should receive. You don't ask, you don't receive. When I opened the store, I asked my guides and I asked my angel, please, I need somebody to work with me to bring this to people. So the first person that came and started working with me is Darkise. And Darkise, she's an amazing person with an amazing energy. She is a Reiki master. She's actually certified to practice bars and also to teach bars. And she does also healing touch. She does the flower back or back flower, or how they call it. I'm not too familiar about that, but I know that she helped a lot of people just by doing her Reiki. Reiki is another Japanese tradition that actually it's a doctor that introduced that because he discovered or he found out that he can heal the human body with your own energy by connecting to another energy. I tell you, we're all connected. We're all carrying the same energy.
Yes.
So I have a great story for that. And I think I did share it with you yesterday about my orchid and how my orchid died.
What a beautiful story.
It is. I mean, it's amazing. I think you should take a picture of it after.
I will.
The Reiki had brought my orchid back, and now she's flowering. Another client heard about us. She came here. She came for the wrong treatment. She came here to have a reading with me. But when I tapped into her energies, she was in so much pain that I said to her, I said, I cannot take your money when I'm not going to be able to help you. That's not what you need. It's not a medium that you need. You need healing somehow. And I told her about my orchid, and she said, well, I'll try it. And as a matter of fact, and her too, she's sensitive to the energy. And as she's laying on the table receiving the Reiki from Darkise, after she finished her treatment, she came here and she said, Mary, you were right. My angel just told me that's exactly what I need. This lady lives in Quebec. And she comes here to visit her family. And 3 weeks later, she called me back and she said, I'm coming back to Rockland, and I would like to have another Reiki session, but this time I want to have a reading with you too. So, and she told me her experience. She's fed up of her medication. She is tired of the side effect of every medication that she takes, and she's looking into a natural healing. The Reiki, the bars help a lot of people. Some people suffer from fibromyalgia that come here and they do either one or the other, and some of them, they call it the salad mixed. They will have a combination between the Reiki and the bars in the same session, and that way they're able to move. And when they leave here, they feel like $1,000,000. So that's Darkise. I have another medium that does work with me. She's very young, but she is amazing. She was one of my students, and this is how I discovered that she has a great gift. Melina, her name, and she's the one taking over a little bit because I'm overwhelmed with the demand. So Melina does help me, and I trained her, so I know she's good because I have a reputation and I would like to keep my reputation. And she does everything with full heart, with love, compassion, understanding, and I need that energy to be here. And also I have Claudia. Claudia has many talent. Claudia does numerology. She also does palm and crystal reading. And she also does a lot of my jewelry with the gemstones, you know. That
She makes the jewelry.
She makes the jewelry too, so we do that. And I have a brand new, and I'm very excited about her teaming us with us, is Vanya. Vanya is going to be giving a very particular service, which is past life regression. And I really truly recommend this. I did it myself, and it opened so many doors for me. And not just that, it made me understand the life that I have today because of my previous lives. Because we always bring something from our previous life into the life that we're in right now. And by understanding the previous lives, you can actually deal with the life that you're in right now. So that's another thing that I'm excited about it. And I have Karen Stoyle. She's a holistic nutritionist. She concentrates mostly on women that they're trying to get pregnant, because I don't know if you noticed that lately, a lot of women are having problem conceiving. The food we eat, the water we drink, a lot of the outside is really not good for us. So she helps these women, but also she helps anybody nutrition-wise. And when I say a holistic nutrition, she's not a dietitian. Mm-hmm. She's actually tell you what to eat. Anything holistic, that means you need to eat food that's alive. Mm-hmm. Not in a can,
okay.
Not comes from the frozen. And she helped me a lot with the stuff that when you go to the grocery store, how to read your labels, what to look for, what to not look for, what this chemical will do in your body. So she has a lot of knowledge. And I don't want to forget anybody here. I think I'm about done with that list. I think that's the great team that I have. And anybody that have a gift and I feel a connection with them, I'm willing. My door is open. If you have a gift and you know that you can help your brother and sisters, because we're all brothers and sisters, well, please come and see me and we'll see what we could do. My main concern is to put peace and knowledge into humanity.
Put peace and knowledge into humanity.
And
That's
love.
no small order.
And love.
But definitely the right track.
I hope so.
And I get a sense that you are definitely on the track, and you have definitely some words of wisdom for everybody who cares to listen, whether they have the gift or not. You know, this is all so fascinating, and I have been blessed that all of this information, so much of this information, definitely not all, so much of this information has come my way in my lifetime. I would really like to share more of it with the audience of TVC22, but also all of those people who are going to be watching this online.
Absolutely.
It's so refreshing to find somebody who shares so willingly. I'd like to do more programs on this with you and your team.
Absolutely.
And let people take it from there. Some of us learn from books.
Absolutely.
Like me. Some people learn from the human exchange. I learn from that too. But I always have to go with the book first.
Thank you,
Mary,
Kathleen.
I'll be seeing you soon. You go on holiday.
Yes.
Have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
And I'll be hounding you when you come back. But you already know that.
Ah, that's okay. I'll be more than happy. Thank
Wonderful.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. We'll be back next week with another episode. I don't know what we're going to do to top this one, but that's my challenge. I'm definitely going to try it. Ask my guides.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wouldn't have thought of that on my own.
Thank you.
Thank you.